Why do you think, at a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, when people like yourself economically have never, ever had it so good, why do you think it's a good idea to cut Medicaid for low-income and working-class people by $700 billion, to give $235 billion in tax breaks to the very, very, very richest people in this country, perhaps a few hundred families? Please justify that and tell me about that.
Well, Senator, I don't know, but the Democrats had the trifecta, and there was no tax increase or wealth tax on billionaires. You choose.
I'm not talking about a tax.
You chose not to do that. Mr.
Bessent, I am not talking about a wealth.
It's officially a warning sign. Whenever Bernie Sanders starts a sentence with "my understanding is," what he really means is, brace yourself, I'm about to bend this into something dramatic. He came in swinging with apocalyptic numbers, moral outrage, and the classic billionaires are evil routine. But this time, he didn't get applause. He hit a brick wall named Scott Bessent. While Bernie was tossing out 50,000 deaths a year and acting like tax policy is a horror movie, Bessent calmly dismantled the inflated stats, exposed Democrat failures, and dropped one fact they definitely didn't want discussed. The hypocrisy was so loud it needed subtitles. Hit like, subscribe, and buckle up. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
My understanding is the Trump administration has, I think, 13 billionaires in office right now, leading government agencies. Is that about right, do you think?
I have no idea, Senator.
I think that's what the number is. Do you think it's a coincidence, given the large number of billionaires in the Trump administration, that this particular piece of legislation would provide $235 billion in tax breaks to the top 0.2% by expanding the exemptions in the estate tax?
Senator, I will tell you that when the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed, my tax rate went up.
Well, I don't know your exact situation, but I can tell you. Tell me about, how many people do you think are in the top 0.2%?
Sorry?
Number of people in the top 0.2% who would benefit from this particular $235 billion tax break?
Well, the top, I know the top 10% is right. now paying 7%.
That's not the question.
The total tax.
My question is, why do you think, at a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, when people like yourself economically have never, ever had it so good, why do you think it's a good idea to cut Medicaid for low-income and working-class people by $700 billion, to give $235 billion in tax breaks to the very, very, very richest people in this country, perhaps a few hundred families? Please justify that and tell me about that.
Well, Senator, I don't know, but the Democrats had the trifecta, and there was no tax increase or wealth tax on billionaires. You choose.
I'm not talking about a tax.
You chose not to do that.
Mr. Bessent, I am not talking about a wealth tax. Explain. A few hundred of the wealthiest families in this country, $235 billion tax break. Explain to the American people why you think that's a great idea.
I think that this will increase small businesses substantially. That most small businesses, they are...
Has zero to do with, come on, you're smarter than that. This is the top 0.2%. This is not a mom and pop store. These are multi-billionaires, and the savings go to their kids after they pass away. This is nothing more than a gift to billionaires in this country.
Well, sir, that's just not correct, because the top 10% pay a bigger share of taxes after TCJA.
I'm talking about one provision in this. I don't want to argue with you about taxes in general. One provision, few hundred families, $235 billion in tax breaks. You can't justify that because morally it is totally unjustifiable. Let me ask you another question. If you guys want to cut $1 trillion in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, the estimate from CBO, I believe, is that over 15 million people lose their health insurance. Yale University and the University of Pennsylvania estimated that when you throw that many low-income and working-class people off of health care, some 50,000 people a year will die. Tell me why you think it's a good idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and allow 50,000 low-income and working-class people to die unnecessarily?
Senator, first of all, that's overstated by 5.1 million. That that is not attributed to this bill. It is simply
It's a combination. That's true.
No. You all had a scheduled expiration of Obamacare subsidies, and you did not extend that when you were in charge. 5.1 million, 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid.
All right, look,
and there are work requirements. And our goal is to get more money to children and mothers.
Really? Your goal is to get more money to children, and working people. Really? Come on.
Now that you've seen it, let's be honest. Bernie tried to stage a moral ambush, and it completely backfired. He came armed with scary headlines. 15 million losing insurance, 50,000 deaths a year, hoping nobody would check the math. But Bessent did. 5.1 million of that number? Not even from the bill. It was tied to Obamacare subsidies Democrats let expire when they controlled everything. That's not Republican cruelty, that's Democrat negligence. And then Bernie goes full class warfare mode. Tax breaks for billionaires. He repeats like it's a spell. But when Bessent calmly points out that Democrats had total control and didn't raise taxes on billionaires, suddenly Bernie doesn't want to talk about that anymore. Funny how that works. When they had the trifecta, there was no wealth tax revolution. No billionaire crackdown. Just speeches. A lot of speeches. Then comes the knockout punch. 1.4 million illegal immigrants currently on Medicaid. Let that sink in. Americans struggling. Working families stretched thin. And Democrats are pretending there's no money, while non-citizens are enrolled in programs funded by U.S. taxpayers. That single fact shatters Bernie's entire moral high ground. You don't get to lecture about compassion while prioritizing people who aren't even citizens over the workers paying the bills. And let's talk about this obsession with punishing success. Bernie frames estate tax reform as a gift to a few hundred families. Like every successful business owner is some cartoon villain swimming in gold coins. What he ignores, conveniently, is that these policies protect family farms, small businesses, and generational enterprises from being gutted by the death tax. That's not greed. That's protecting American legacy. Bessent didn't shout. He didn't grandstand. He didn't play theater. He corrected the record, exposed the inflated numbers, and forced Bernie to confront the fact that his party had power and did nothing. That's why this moment matters. One man pushed fear. The other pushed facts. And when you strip away the socialist smoke machine, the truth is obvious. Economic growth comes from rewarding work and investment, not demonizing success.